Welcome to the Dialed In Podcast. I'm your host, the official CRG. Today we're going to cover a handful of topics. We're going to talk about my hometown, what the future might hold in 2023, knowing the new year is right around the corner. We're also going to talk about a little bit of what brings me motivation and who helped me along that way. All right, so the first thing I want to cover, I talked about motivation in the last podcast, but we didn't really dive into it too much. I follow this guy named Andrew Huberman. He owns a podcast called the Huberman Lab. It is a very inspirational and teachable podcast. You learn a lot from it. He is actually a professor at Stanford University. He teaches neurobiology and behavioral science. He is a neuroscientist. So his work is really all about the brain and your body. And it's if you're into that stuff, I highly recommend the Huberman Lab. Um, Specifically, though, I listened to one of his podcasts. It was called Using Caffeine to Optimize Mental and Physical Performance. It's his episode 101. If you guys want to check it out, I will have it linked in the bio. Um, Basically, in that podcast, he goes talk to, it's a pretty long podcast, it's 2 hours, but it basically goes talk about caffeine and the benefits and, what it, the negatives, how it can poorly affect your body if you use it at the wrong time. Now it also can really help. It helps focus you. It helps something that obviously gives you energy, but it really helps focus you in certain situations. But what I did learn from him in that podcast specifically, is that basically caffeine is a very well, obviously it's almost like a drug, but it's something that needs to be precautioned. You really shouldn't. I should say you can do whatever you want, but you shouldn't wake up in the morning right when you wake up. And if you're a coffee drinker or you like energy drinks, that shouldn't be the first thing you do. And I've actually done this myself. I've done this study, exactly what he talked about. Sunlight is also one of the most important things. It's a big ball of energy. It's one of the most important things for our body, especially our eyes. He advocates that when you first wake up, the first maybe hour or two, you don't go on your phone. That's all blue light. That's all stuff that isn't really good for your eyes. And you have receptors in your eyes. You have energy receptors. So when you first wake up, you have all these energy cells. You have all these, you have all the sleep cells and all these sleep receptors that are, still trying to, they kind of go away when you first wake up. They try to get out of your body as you start to, go along with your day. As you brush your teeth, take a shower, you start to wake up, and those enzymes and everything, they kind of just move out of your body, and then you start to be awake. But if you go on your phone right away, those sleep those sleep cells and those stuff, they stay in your body longer, so you will stay tired longer during the day. You will have a harder time waking up. And I've tried this myself, and it does work. I don't go on my phone right away. He also advocates when you first wake up, you should be looking at the sun, not obviously directly into the sun. It's terrible for your eyes. You never want to look directly into the sun, but he advocates that you look almost in the direction, just somewhere where it's light. Natural sunlight is the best for you. If you wake up, step outside for 5 minutes, maybe even less. Just look up at the sun, breathe some fresh air. You will naturally feel more energized. You will naturally feel better about yourself. You'll feel better mentally. You'll feel better physically. If you keep doing that as a process, you keep going on about it, it will become a habit. Like we said in the last podcast, it'll become a habit that you will form, and it'll lead to consistency, and you'll start feeling so much better all around. I advocate it 100%. I do it myself. I actually wake up. I will not go on my phone for the first 30 minutes to an hour. I do go outside, or I have a window that I'll just lay in bed. I look up at the window at the sun, or in the sun's direction for about 10, 15 minutes, just think about my day, what I'm going to do. And when I get out of bed, I'm completely energized. I am a big coffee drinker, especially when I go to work. So what I tend to do, probably I'd say last 3 weeks, I have waited to drink coffee. So I'll make my coffee and I'll wait about an hour. And let's say I'll get to work at 8:30. So I'll take my first sip of coffee at 9:30, and I've tend to find that I don't crash. I don't have that energy crash around 1 or 2. It starts to happen at like 5 or 6, which is perfect because I get home around 4, 5 or 6. I do my thing. I'm in bed, sleep around 10 or 11, so it's perfect for me. But everybody's different. Everybody's body handles it completely different. But I do advocate 100% for the Huberman Lab. He teaches everything. He's a really, really good study and professor, and I highly, highly advocate for his podcast. The next topic I want to talk about is kind of my hometown. I grew up in Maryland, specifically Annapolis. That's kind of, I'm going to say, maybe 30 minutes out of Baltimore, maybe an hour with traffic to DC. Um, you know, Annapolis was a really, really good place. It still is. It's a beautiful city. It's really small. But like I talked about before, the city is kind of ruined by crime. I get alerts. I don't live there anymore. I moved myself out of that, but I get alerts still that I just constantly see shootings, robbings. I see pictures of people I know get put up on there as a mugshot, and it's just like a constant cycle of crime that it seems like it just won't stop. And I grew up kind of in the middle of that when it kind of really started popping off. Annapolis, before my generation, Annapolis was more of a party town. It was really beautiful. Bars everywhere. Still are bars, but there really was hardly any crime. And now, crime is starting to go more on the main downtown strip, but it's more on the side streets. I mean, you don't really hear about it too much, but there's crime everywhere. There's gangs everywhere. There's violence, break-ins, shootings, and it's all over. Mostly stupid shit. Music. Somebody drops a diss track, and now they're gonna go kill somebody over it. It just doesn't make any sense, and it's happening all over our cities. And I grew up right in the mix of that. So having that, it's kind of like a fight or flight mentality. You either join them or you go against them. And in this situation I was, I joined the wrong crowd, got put in some stuff. I've got a million stories to tell, but there's only so many we can talk about on the podcast, right? we don't we don't do that snitching over here. No, no, no. But we do talk about what's real, right? We do talk about what actually happened, but we don't self-incriminate or incriminate anybody else. That's a no-go here on this podcast. But Maryland, I had a fair share. I remember I'd be out there 3, 4 a.m. Sit there like 12 deep in a parking garage steps, just shooting dice, doing whatever, listening to music, blasting music, bro. We would have so much fun. I remember trying to squeeze like 6 people, maybe even eight people in a little 2-door Honda, bro. We did some crazy shit, taking trips all the way out to Baltimore with a 2-door. We're like just crazy, crazy stuff. Riding in whips with the radio blasted out, having to put speakers in the front, bro. We did the most ghetto, we did the most ghetto ass shit, but it was so much fun. That's how I grew up. That's what I was around, and I loved it. I wouldn't trade anything for it. That's my life. That's home for me. It's so much fun. The amount of times I had just getting in shit and riding around, going to car meets, seeing people get freaking tossed in the air, like just crazy stuff, dude. Crazy. I mean, the stories I have, I could go on, seeing people fights, just constantly getting like dropped on their head, going to instant seizures and shit. Crazy stuff. We'll get into that in the later dates. We're not going to talk a whole podcast about me. We'll do that though. If you guys want a podcast about straight stories and some straight bullshit I went to, go to the Dialed In podcast on Instagram. Comment down there on some of the posts and let me know what y'all want to see. Because we will talk about some crazy shit if that's what y'all want. Because I got some pretty crazy stories. But going to the third topic, not to jump right to it, but it has a lot to do with my hometown. When you're in that situation, you have a lot of acquaintances, I would say. At that time you think they're friends. At that time they are your best friends, probably your brother. You'd do anything for them, ride or die. And I've had a lot of those situations where I thought I've had ride or die brothers, and unfortunately, a lot of them switched up. I don't have those friends anymore. I don't have those connections. And that leads kind of to just like trusting your surroundings, trusting your people. Like I said this in the last podcast, somebody can easily say they love you and that they want to be your best friend, and then turn on you right when you get a little bit of fame, right when you get some money. They go and backdoor your ass or something crazy, bro. Like that happens all the time over some stupid shit. It could be your best man's, and it's like knowing that and knowing where I came from, that really put my head on my swivel. I was constantly, everybody's paranoid. If they tell you when they live in that street life that they're not paranoid, they're lying to you. I guarantee when somebody goes and does a sale or goes up, try to, they're hitting a lick or they're robbing somebody or doing something they shouldn't be doing, they are paranoid as shit because not everything they know deep down, or at least I'd hope they know that not everything's gonna go as planned. You might have an idea in your head, but it's never gonna go. Like 9 out of 10, it's not gonna go how you think. So keeping that in mind, you know, I ran into a lot of situations like that, and I had a lot of friends that turned their backs on me. I did a lot for them, put clothes on them. Had some friends that were in the streets, literally homeless, couldn't eat. I give them my last penny, working a 9 to 5 job, busting dishes. I go out there, make sure he eat, make sure he gets some clothes, and I don't even get a thank you or anything. But I still check on him to this day. It's all about being real. There's too many fake people. I mean, the amount of times I go and tell people, I text people right now that I don't even really connect with, or that we might have beefed a little bit. I'll be like, hey, bro, I love you. And they'll be like, bro, what the fuck? I'll be like, nah, bro, I love you. Like, real shit. Like, you don't got to be doing all this. Like, we don't have to be beefing. We don't have to be fighting. And even if we not beefing, bro, I still love you. You my homie. And even if you're not my homie, I still love you, because a lot of people need to hear that. But if you got a homie, bro, especially in like depression and the street shit, it's real easy to be in some street shit off the corner with your homies selling all the time. And he'd be like, yo, what's good, homie? You stressed? You depressed or anything? Nah, fam, I don't do that shit. Like, what are you talking about? I'm hard. I'm hard. I don't do that. We don't get sad. But deep down, bro, he's broken. I guarantee he's broken. He feels alone. He feels like he's fighting for his life every single day. He's got nobody to talk to. The amount of people that are probably in the hood, bro, and this isn't even a probably, the amount of people I know, and it's not that many, but the amount of people I know that were in the hood that have taken their life, that's some crazy shit, bro. That the amount of pressure you get put into when you're in situations like that, when you have to fend for yourself, when you don't have a mom or dad, you just get put out there, left on your own. The amount of pressure people don't really take into consideration that person's going through is insane. That needs to be talked about more, bro. Like, I know so many people that are really going through it and struggling to eat every single day. Like, shit, I wasn't even gonna talk about this. I was at a time where I lived in a really nice house. Dad was making a shit ton of money, but he'd go out all the time. He'd eat out all the time, and it was fine. There was stuff in the cabinet, but it was like some dry ass noodles. I could only eat noodles for so long, bro. I basically grew up eating noodles and freezer food. So I can only do that for so long until I get old. And there's points where I had to go out. I had to go literally bum money off the street, like literally go and be like, "Yo, can I get $1 or two so I can go to 7-Eleven, get a honey bun?" Like crazy shit. And my dad making bank, like bank, out eating out every night, drinking, having fun. I'm sitting there struggling to eat and like finding meals because I don't want to eat some nasty freezer food or some ramen. So like I understand the struggle, looks can be deceiving, people who might be in a really nice house or somebody who seems like they're privileged or like you can't judge a book by its cover, and that's as real as it could be. Cause I had so many people judge me, be like, bro, you live in a nice house, you're not struggling. But then the people that really knew me realized that I was down bad, bro. Me and my mom was really down bad. We was really struggling, and now we up. We good. We living in Florida. We chilling. We on beaches every day, bro. I'm still good with my dad. I love my father. I love my family. But I had to make that decision to get up out of there because I felt like I was being held down. I felt like if I stayed in Annapolis in the place I was just really crashing out. I feel like I was just gonna end up in not a good place. So I had to make that real decision to get up out of there. Make that big move. And it could have been, honestly, it's the best thing I ever did. I couldn't be happier. I couldn't be more mature. And because I did that, now I can start this podcast and talk to you beautiful people. But branching from all that, that was some pretty deep conversation. So branching from all that, bro, I just want to talk about, the future. We talked about it a little bit also, but, for 2023, the new year is right around the corner. I couldn't be happier. I got some big things. I feel like 2023 is my year for real. Everybody says that, yeah, this is my year, this is my year. But like, I really feel it, bro. I mean, A lot of y'all don't know. I make music. I've been making music for a minute, bro. Like since 2016, I've been making music. I don't have anything dropped, but I have songs on songs on songs written. And starting this podcast, it really gave me that motivation. And it's actually gonna go with this quote because quote is about procrastination. But I procrastinate every single day. I'd literally be on Snapchat, yo, I'm gonna drop this, yo, I'm gonna drop that. People be like, yo, bet. It never happened. Never happened. I never dropped one song ever. I try to set up a studio. I just make excuses and excuses and excuses. And now I moved to Florida, bro. I literally, the day I said, fuck it, I want to start a podcast, I did it. I literally did it. I spent 6 hours in a room by myself on my computer figuring out how to start a podcast. Worked a 9 to 5, still am working a 9 to 5, paying bills so I could try to get this podcast up and going because it's a dream I have and it's something that I want to start. And I advocate everybody. If you got something you want to go for, bro, you got a dream, you got something you want to do, go fucking do it, bro. Stop holding back. Like, you want to talk to me, you have my Instagram, you have my socials. Talk to your friend. If there's a friend that has, he's going through something, bro, be like, check up on him. Literally, all you got to do is check up on him. It takes 5 seconds to send a text, be like, hey, you good? Or call him. You don't even have to have a 20-minute conversation. Just be like, hey, bro. Or be like, even if it's, bro, anybody. Be like, hey, shorty, you good? How you doing? How's your mental health? Your man treating you right? Your best friend treating you right? Hey, bro, how you doing? Your girl treating you right? What's going on? This, that, the third. Just chat the shit. It changes somebody's day just making sure or knowing that somebody else cares about you. I promise you, bro. I promise you. If you just have one phone call, one little text, just be like, hey, bro, you good? Hey, are you okay? That's all it takes. And they would be the most loyal person to you because they know you care. But the thing is, though, is like saying this, I feel like I'm going to have some people be like, oh, yeah, bet. I'm going to just text this person, yo, you good? And then not text them for another couple months. Don't do that. That's whack. If you really don't care about that person, don't text them. But if you care, you think about them, send them a text. Make sure they're okay, because I guarantee it's going to put a smile on their face. Saying all that, bro, this was a pretty good ass podcast. I'm not going to lie. I covered a good topic. I'm going to try to push out another podcast for you on Monday. Hopefully I can get it out of the weekend. I know Christmas is this weekend. I hope all y'all have an amazing Christmas, bro. Make sure you're thankful for everything you have. Every little thing, your family, your friends, your cousins, your grandparents, especially your grandparents, bro. I've been through a whole ringer with my grandparents. Unfortunately, not to get on a sad note, but just to talk, just so you guys can relate. I lost all three of my grandmothers 3 months in a row. My best friend was my grandmother, and I watched her die in front of me. So to see that, like, I really can relate to y'all. I really can relate to the pain. And I believe you. I believe in y'all, and I'm telling y'all from the experiences that I went through and the stuff that I regret, to hope that you don't go down the same road that I do, or the same road that I did. Just don't take anything for granted. I know your grandmother can be annoying when she yelling at you, telling you to clean up those clothes or help her make cookies and shit, bro. But I guarantee you're gonna miss it when she's gone. Same thing with your mom. Same thing with your pops. Like, family is the most important thing, and they will never leave. You could, bro, you could murder somebody, your family gonna be there. But a friend isn't. A friend gonna snitch on you, but a real family member won't. With that being said, I'm gonna leave y'all beautiful people today, man. I appreciate everybody for listening, man. Also, the feedback we got in that first podcast was insane. I just want to thank y'all real quick for all of that. The feedback was awesome. The words I got, was saying how much it helped people just from the first podcast, man. That was awesome. I couldn't be grateful. There's so much more to be held in the future. 2023 is gonna be big, man. Interviews. I'm gonna try to get some merch out. We got some big things coming, man. But yeah, with that being said, I'm gonna leave y'all with this quote. Quote today is from 365 Mentality. It's your competition isn't people. It's your procrastination. So, diving into that. So your competition isn't your peers. It's not the guy you see on Instagram. It's not the millionaire that you strive to be or the crypto workers that work from home. It's your procrastination. It really is. And I learned that the most because I was procrastinating music for the longest time. I never, and I still haven't done it. But that first idea I had of that podcast, I did it, and I stopped procrastinating, and I don't procrastinate anymore. I make sure I discipline myself. Yesterday, actually, I'm gonna be honest with y'all. Today's Thursday. I normally record on Wednesdays, so I discipline myself. I took it a little extreme though. I took a cold shower, like freezing cold. Made sure I took notes. If you don't have discipline in your life and you don't punish yourself for things that you are set to do, then you'll just be lazy and be a slouch for the rest of your life. So discipline and procrastination, they go hand to hand. And discipline obviously can beat procrastination. So always make sure you discipline yourself. Make sure, it doesn't have to be to the full amount. You don't have to go lock yourself in a bathroom. But, if you do something wrong, make up for it. Don't just let it slide. That's how we get lazy. It's not good to fuck off. So with that being said, I love y'all for real. I appreciate everybody for tuning in. I hope y'all have a really Merry Christmas. And I'll try to push another episode out for you for the New Year's. And if not, then I'll see y'all next Friday. Appreciate y'all. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. Thank you for tuning in to the Dialed In Podcast.